Hey, I'm Wes, and this is Wes Makes Stuff. Have you ever wanted to get into 3D modeling but just don't know where to start? You got your own projects you want to 3D print, but you just don't have the slightest idea of what programs to use or anything like that? So in this video today, I'm going to be showing you how to get started with a program called TinkerCad. And we're going to go through all the basics so you can get started right away. So let's jump right in. Here we are on TinkerCad. You can see over here we've got some basic sign-in options just like on most sites. We're going to go ahead and click on Join Now. And in your case, this will be what you're doing. I already have an account. You can see it's really basic. You just tell it your information. You can make an account. Rather than do that, I'm going to go ahead and log in. This may not be what you see when you first log in because there are some really cool tutorials built into TinkerCad and it might prompt you to go through those. If you want to, go ahead and do those. They're really helpful. If not, you can follow along with me. We're going to go to the Create New Design option. This is going to be where you're going to go anytime you're going to start a new file. We're going to click on that. And then when it brings us up, it's going to bring us up with a blank work plane. Okay, so this is the work plane. Now, let's take a look around here really quickly. The first thing is Edit Grid. So here, if I click Edit Grid, you can see our primary units right now are in millimeters, and that's the default setting, but we can change it to inches just like that. I'm more comfortable in inches, so we're going to go with inches. You can also change the size of your work plane. Let's make it something ridiculous so you can really see the change. Let's make it 10 by 5 and update the grid, and you can see now it's nice and square. So if you're designing for a 3D printer that's a known bed size and you know you can't go outside of that size, you might want to change your work plane so it matches that. So that's a cool option. Below that, we had the snap to grid option, and that's when you have an object in TinkerCad and you move it, you see it snaps, snap, snap, snap. You can change that snap value for precise movement. So see, now it's snapping further. It's actually telling me right down there below it, you can see where it's giving you a movement measurement, which you can click and change, but that's what that snap option is. And then on the left side here, we've got the view cube. So the view cube is going to be how we navigate around the work plane. So I can just click on these options, so we can go front, right, top, all the different options. You can also click on the edges and it will pan you around the edges. You can also click on the corners and it will give you an orthographic view. One last option is you can actually click and drag on that box as well. Okay. Next, we've got the home view that's going to always take you back to this view right here. We've got fit all to view, so if we had a few different things in here and we had one that was really far out there, we were zoomed in, fit all to view, it would show me everything. Or if I have one object selected, we can click that and it's going to zoom in on the one object. We also have a zoom in and zoom out dedicated button there. And then this is the orthographic option. You can see here when I'm looking at this, it looks like reality. It looks like we're looking straight on this cube. You can see it changes its size as it goes, just like it does in reality. If you toggle on the orthographic view, toggle it on and off, you'll see that now it's always a perfect cube. This is sometimes desirable, sometimes not. It just depends on what you're doing. Okay, so another good example is right here. You see that, and then change it like that. Or if we stretch it out, okay, here's an orthographic view, non-orthographic. So you can see it changes a lot. Okay, it's all about perspective. All right. Now, you've seen me use this side a couple times now. I call this the basic shapes bar. And if you're familiar with Minecraft, this might be pretty familiar to you, but rather than just using blocks, you're going to be using other shapes as well. So let's go ahead and go back to our home view. And let's click on this box here. Click it, drag it, and drop it in. Okay, so you see now we've got a cube, and we can change the size of it. Okay, you click on the white buttons here, you can click them and drag them and change your size. There's also one on top. You can click that and drag it to make it thicker or thinner. And you'll notice also that as you're dragging it, on the side there, it's giving us another number. Okay, that's telling us how tall it actually is, and you can click there and put in a precise number and it will actually change to that. Okay, so oh no, I went too far. You can just come up here and click the undo button or the redo button. Okay, if you've got that shape in there and you don't want it in there, you can hit the delete button. You can also duplicate it. So if I have it selected, I can click the duplicate button. It's going to give me a copy of it. And then there's also copy and paste as well. So you can copy it and then paste it, just like that. So those options. And then also, when you click on an object, you'll see that you've got a shape box that pops up right here. This allows you to change the shape. So right now it's a solid. I can pick a different color for it. Let's go green. Okay. You can also change some parameters, and these change depending on what setting you're in. And so that's this is dynamic. So depending on what you're doing, it changes. Okay. So that's that. And then you see we've got a lock editing option, which means that this shape is just stuck this way. You can never change it unless you unlock it, of course. And then there's also the hide selected button. So it is hidden. It's still there, but it's hidden. So you see we've got the show all button, and that'll bring it right back. So if you're working on a really complex model, that might be helpful if you just want to hide certain parts. So now we'll look at the hole option. So rather than turning this into a hole, we're going to bring in a whole nother shape. So let's pull in a cylinder, drop it right on top, and then you see we got a hole option. So rather than picking a new color, we're going to click on hole, and then you can see that it looks like it's making a hole in the object, because it is. If we click and drag and select both of those objects and then come up here next to the show all button, there's a group button, and group those together, you can see that now it has actually cut a hole out. Now the way that you denote that is with this kind of see-through gray lines. That's how you tell that it's a hole, and you can turn any shape into a hole really easily and make some really complex objects. Now let's say you group that object together and you decide you wanted to move that hole. You can actually come back up here and click ungroup, and it's going to do it and ungroup it, so you can move it back around like two objects. And then we've got two more options up here. We've got align and flip. So let's grab this. You can click on the align button. You'll see it's giving us an X, Y, and Z axis option. So if we click on that, you see it's going to pop it to the center or the left, depending on where you put it. And you can make it snap around to wherever you want it to go. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and group this, and then I'm going to show you the flip option. So group it. See, now we've got a hole cut in this side. If I switch over to the flip option, it's going to give me the X, Y, and Z again, but instead now it's arrows. So if I click one, you see it'll flip it back and forth. Okay? So that's another cool option. Now, notice that I now have this hovering above, right? Let's say I want to put some text on top of it. If I come down here to the text tool and I bring that text in, it's below now. So that's not very helpful if I want it to be on top and I need that part to be there. And so up here we've got a work plane option. So we're going to go ahead and click on the work plane option. And then now I've got a little box that pops around, and it moves depending on where I'm clicking. Okay, so right now you see there's a blue work plane right here. It says work plane. If I click the work plane button and then click on any face on an object that I already have drawn, you see the work plane option moves, and now there's an orange work plane based on where I clicked. When I bring in an object now, it is on the top of that work plane. So it's really easy to put text on top of something that's already there, like a keychain. So this is when the orthographic view might be helpful, because you can line this up a lot easier. Okay, and you can see now that that's sitting right on top. Okay, like I said, this is dynamic over here. It changes, so you see we got text, so I can put my name in there. And then I told you anything can be a hole, so we're going to change that into a hole and drop it down a little bit. And then we'll group all that together. And boom, now we got a little keychain going on. Okay. Now, my work plane's still there. Let's say I want to go back to regular work plane. And click the work plane button, and then click anywhere off of a model that I've drawn, and we're going to go back to our normal work plane. Okay. Now, there's lots of different options in TinkerCAD. Briefly, we're going to go over it. We've got basic shapes. You can scroll through here. You can see there's toy parts, circuits, and then there's also the community, which has all kinds of different things that have been generated that you can drop right in to your project. So you can make all kinds of cool stuff just like that. And then also, it's really easy to get these files out for 3D printing. You just click the export button, you click STL, and boom, you're ready to go. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you'll jump into TinkerCad and start designing something for 3D printing or laser cutting, and post down in the comments below what you made. Thanks a lot.